Do what I do when I have problems. Scream! Come on, buddy. I'll help you.
Hi. So we're here to scream. Oh, what are we screaming about? If the title didn't tell you, I will right now. It's about It's Freakin' Bounce Ballad from Butte Bean Betty Jean here on YouTube.com and Shroud Cosmetics. Now, I will be doing a demo of the shades, so I kind of just went like 2, 2, 2, and I added that one, and then 2, so you can see how it performs. I'll just do the review first. It's very good. The mattes blend into each other very nicely. The shimmers are very pigmented and creamy. You do get some hard pan on the shimmers if you use a brush. Also, if you use your finger, from what I found, but you know, come see, come saw. You do get a little bit of fallout with the shades, especially dairy. Obviously, you're going to see more of the dark shades, right? But it is pretty easy to whisk away, as you'll see in my little demo. Also, sorry if I sound like a robot in the demo. I was honestly really annoyed at this palette when I was doing the demo. This was actually my second take filming the video because I want to be a little more precise, a little more concise, and I kind of want to make it clear that I'm not trying to, you know, bully or like harass or like I don't understand how indie brands work with processing times and shit like that. So the palette itself is very good. The layout of it is very good. The little motifs on it says hello friends. Very cute, very fun. Color story, very cute, very fun. But here's what we're going to talk about, which I've not seen a lot of people talk about, which I think we should talk about, is the absolute doo-doo launch, right? The absolute doo-doo launch. Absolute doo-doo launch. There are a few categories here that I want to talk about. I wrote it all down. Before I get into the issues that we had, this palette was announced the 26th of September, and I believe the pre-order was the 4th of October. Anyway, the pre-order was in October, early October. It is April, and I got my palette. I was in like the 5,000s order. So I just kind of want to point that out. It took 6 months to get here. So we'll be going over the initial, because there was an initial pre-order and then there was like a free reign open Wild Wild West pre-order. I was part of the second. So we'll be going over that. But let's go ahead and get into communication. So initially, like in October, reaching out to the brand was very difficult to cancel your order, and the updates were very spotty. We would probably go like 3 to 4 weeks betwixt updates, and that was kind of like doo-doo diarrhea, if you're asking me. I don't know. Also, I'm aware, I know that she's a one-woman show. That was pretty shoved down our throats, the entirety of this, so I'm aware. Thank you. So, once the updates were consistent, the posts really would say one thing, and then in the comments you would find out more information or kind of different information, and they would not update the posts with the information that was clarified in the comments. And once the updates were more consistent, it was a customer service person that the brand brought on. Speaking of the customer service person, they were very passive aggressive, I found. There was one story, like as soon as they took over the updates, where they literally just put on the brand story, like, if you guys want to cancel your order, here's the email. Which, like, fair, but also like, And then I remember there was one particular comment that I vividly remember, because the person was like, this better be the best damn palette of my life, and rightly so, because it was taking so long and the communication was just bad. Like, you can't deny that the communication was lacking. So, and then the brand, there was a bunch of dumb simps that were like, woo woo, I would wait 7 years for this palette. Don't let the haters get you down. And then the brand was just like, we can cancel your order if you email us. Not just like a, I'm sorry, or like, it'll be great, you know, just like, come on, girl. Come on, girl. So I found that a little shitty, and a lot of why everyone was like, where's the fucking palette, is because the owner, the person who was pressing the shadows, mixing the shadows, putting the palettes together, they gave awful time frames. So they initially, after the initial pre-order sold out, they're like, yeah, it'll take 3 weeks to 3 months. 3 weeks to 3 months. It's like, you know how fast you are. You should fucking know, because this business has been in business for a few years now. And so that, I feel like, is why a lot of people were so upset, is because it's like, you can tell us, we're all aware that this is an indie brand that's handmade, that you take the time to do all the shit. Just tell us how long. Like, if they said in the beginning it'll be 6 months, that would have been so much better on my fucking psyche. Like, it was nuts. So let's move on to our next segment, the Kickstarter vibe. So the fact that the pre-orders took over a month past their like tentative date to ship out is pretty bizarro, because in Miss Bean's initial like, hey, I'm making a palette video, they said they had enough palettes made for an initial pre-order. They were just waiting for the packaging. So the tentative ship out date was the 10th of October. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. People didn't get their palettes from that initial pre-order where the palettes were already made until like November and December. So that was just like so fishy. And because we would check the updates and I would like swim through the comments to kind of like validate that I can be mad at this. It was like they sent out one group of palettes for the initial pre-order. They waited like 2 or 3 weeks and then they sent out the rest, which was really weird, and it didn't seem like they were all done. It just didn't seem like that initial pre-order bundle, which was supposed to already be done, just waiting for packaging, was not done. So that was a little shady. Also, they got a new press and a new warehouse before they sent out all the pallets, before they even sent out all the like initial pre-order pallets, I'm pretty sure. And a lot of people thought that was a little fucked up, that they were using the money that they got from the pallet, even though so many people didn't even have their pallet yet, to like buy things with that money. Now, I do understand, and it does kind of make sense that like they were doing it to, you know, up the production and stuff, but I also understand how it's kind of like, okay, so you're gonna use my money that I gave you for this pallet, but you didn't make, I don't have the pallet yet, you know what I mean? So a lot of people took issue with that. I see both sides, is what I'm saying with that. And let's go on to shipping. Many people were getting damaged packages. The brand was using tissue paper. So I guess before that they weren't even using that much. And they really said in an update, tissue paper is as good as, if not better than, bubble wrap. And that honestly made my brain implode, because that's a reach, baby. You are reaching. It also appeared in the beginning that the brand would mass print labels and then wait several business days, I'm assuming they were packaging it, to drop it off at the post office. They did address this in a update, but they said it really passive aggressively. Just to reiterate, we do it this way. They didn't tell us before. And then later on, they were saying that the post office was delaying it because they would drop off all the packages and then the post office would wait to scan in all of their items. And before we get into my extra gripes, I did want to note the way I wanted to format this video, it would have been like a million times longer than my first cut, which was like 40 minutes. So I wanted to like go through all the updates and then go through all the comments and then kind of piece together what was really going on each week. But the customer service person does not work for them anymore, and I'm not sure if this is the reason why, but they archived all of their updates from like March 30th to like oldest post they have regarding it is just the launch of the palette and then like the brand owner going on the little IGTV, but all of the updates totally gone. And I do want to note something that I found. You know what? I'll save that for extra gripes. So yeah, that's how I wanted to format this video, but they literally archived all the stuff. So me telling you all of this where I'm like, I remember, you know, it sucks that I can't be like, okay, go check the updates, you know, so you know I'm not like a fibber. But I wouldn't fib about this because like I don't want to poo-poo on indie brands. I love supporting indie brands. So it's like just really annoying. Especially no one is saying anything. Like how can we improve, Miss Shroud, if we are not publicly shamed? And like I don't think we should publicly shame them. That was a joke. But like come on. We gotta rustle some leaves, baby. So now it's time for extra gripes. So my extra gripe is, firstly, they closed their shop in November of 2020 to solely work on the It's Freakin' Bats palettes, and the fact that they were, from November to April, they weren't making money. They were surviving off the money that these palettes generated, and the fact that they weren't able to get these out sooner is honestly a little like mind-boggling to me. The owner was doing about 300 pallets a week, which I guess is pretty good. It was one person. I don't know what that was after the stupid machine getting in, but I do remember betwixt getting like using the machine, like the machine arriving and using the machine, they did use the machine to make a palette for the bean to test, and then in the interim, from what I remember and what I was reading, it doesn't seem like they made any palettes in that time, which blew my mind. But some other extra gripes were honestly the goddamn simps in the stupid comments of every update that's like, yes, queen, give us nothing. These updates are incredible. But it'd be like the most fucking confusing update where it's like, I swear to God, they worded it so weird where they'd say one thing, but it would really mean another. I don't know. Like, listen, if my dumb ass cannot comprehend your updates, do it better. You know? Who they were just like, oh my God, all these haters, like all this negativity. But it's like, we're all paying customers and these are legitimate issues. It's not just someone being impatient. It's someone being impatient because you gave them a timeline that was not correct, and then you don't address it. You just say like, oh, I'm not done yet. Blech. Okay, next. So this one is about Miss Bean. Uh-oh. So my gripe with this situation is there is a indie mood, which is like trend mood, but for indie brands. They have an awards at the end of the year. So back in 2020, back in December, when basically no one had their goddamn palette, someone nominated this lovely palette for like best collab, and all the other nominees were palettes, collabs that people already had in their hands, right? So it wasn't just like 30 people who had the palette. And Miss Bean told her lovely viewers to go vote for her, and she won. And I just thought that was a little like tasteless. Like, you're really gonna have everyone go vote for you, even though like 1% of the people who ordered this fucking palette have it. So yeah, I thought that was a little lame, and that's it. That's my segment of screaming. I hope this enlightened you if you were kind of on the outskirts, kind of going like, why are these people so mad? You know? Because that was me, honestly. I would have friends that I talked to on Instagram. We would message about the updates, and they would tell me things about the updates, like what they saw in the comments, or like what it really means if you decipher it and hold your phone up to an open window with the sun shining in. Because like, on first glance, when you read the update, you're like, oh, that's fine. And then you would go in the comments and you would find out like what really is going on. And I'm like, what? So, yeah. Anyway, I will go ahead, I will roll my little demo, And then I will, I don't think I have many looks pictured with this palette. It is a really nice palette. Shroud does have really nice quality. I honestly feel bad for Miss Bean because I would, like, come on. How can you not be embarrassed or, like, annoyed at this if you were the collabee? I would love to hear her perspective on it. I don't think she ever would because she just seems very non-confrontational, which is fine. Like, I honestly, there's probably like some weird legal thing, and then it's like, oh, if I speak about this, would other brands want to collab with me type thing, you know? So I understand that she wouldn't, but I would love to hear it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's freaking bats, it's freaking here, it's freaking good, and the launch was a freaking nightmare. That's all I have for you today. See ya! Here are the close-ups for the It's Freakin' Bats palette. Here is the outside package. Here is the mirror, or the inside. This palette has been used, so there might be some scuffies. Time for swatches. Hello. So this is going to be the test of the It's Finally Fucking Here palette by the Bean Girl and Trouse. Sauerkraut. For this test, we will be working on a primed eye with eyeshadow already, like a cream base eyeshadow already on it. I will be using 2 shades. I will use Handbook and Spooky. Handbook and Spooky for this demonstration. Thank you. I will be tapping my brush as to not get too much pigment. The base eyeshadow was not freshly applied. It was applied probably an hour ago. This is not going to be super blent out. We are just testing the eyeshadows. I will be putting Spooky in the outer third and in the crease, and I will be putting Handbook in the other part. I will be using my finger for Handbook. I got hard pan, so I scrubbed a little harder with my finger, and it will produce fallout. I did not get fallout when I didn't rub as hard, but I did have to dip in a few times when not rubbing as hard. I will take a flat, fluffy brush, which I use to apply the cream base shadow, and flick away the fallout. Flick. I got some on my eyelashes, but I am already wearing mascara. I will be taking this smaller brush and using Spooky on the lower lash line. This too has eye primer and a cream eyeshadow base. Or an eyeshadow, excuse me. Eyeshadow as a base, you know what I mean. I have not blown away the kick up from Spooky. I am going back over the outer corner and the edges. I will attempt to show the remnants, the aftermath of using these 2 shades. This is the result of using the 2 shades on a primed lid with a eyeshadow close to my skin tone to set the primer. This is Spooky and Handbook. Thank you. Hello. I will be testing out the It's Freakin' Bats palette on this eye. This has eyeshadow primer and a eyeshadow that is close to my skin tone, setting the eyeshadow primer. Today we will be using Apparition and Adams. I will be using 2 shades on this eye with eyeshadow. Already has eyeshadow primer and a eyeshadow close to my skin tone to set the primer. Again, I will be using Apparition and Adams. I will be using a fluffy angled brush to apply Adams to the inner and outer corners of my eye to create a halo eye. I will be blending as I go, since this is a fluffy brush. I will be tapping off the excess shadow from my brush. I will not blow away the pickup in the pan and show that after application. I will be using a brush for the shade Apparition. I will not be wetting my brush to use the shade Apparition because I don't have any juice for it, okay? I will be using a flat, slightly dense brush to apply Apparition to the middle of my lid. I will stick the brush on the shade, do a squiggle motion. I will not tap off the excess. There probably will be fallout. I will be swiping the color on my lid. Swiping the color on the lid. I now will be taking a fluffy small brush to put Adams on the lower lash line. We'll be taking our flat brush again to use Apparition. I will be swiping in small swipey swipes on the lower lash line. I will be taking our flat fluffy brush to whisk away the fallout from Apparition. Whisk, 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 whisk. Hopefully you can see there is some leftover. It could be my whisking, because I had fallout on this eye and I whisked it away and it was fine. I don't know if it was because there were chunkier clumpies that fell down, but there is some remaining shimmer on my cheeky cheek. This is the finished look. This is Apparition and Adams on a primed lid, set with a eyeshadow close to my skin tone. Thank you.
I am a dingus omingus and accidentally blew the fallout off of Adams, but we can see the hard pan a little more on Apparition since a brush was used. Only a brush was used on Apparition. Adams did have some kick-up, but again, I am a dingus omingus, and I accidentally blew it away with my goddamn wolf huff and puff. Please excuse my incompetence. Thank you.
Hello. In this demonstration, we will be using Sam and Trappa. Sam and Trappa. Our base, once again, is eyeshadow primer set with an eyeshadow that is close to the skin tone. We will be creating a simple look of Trappa in the crease and in the outer third. I am wearing false eyelashes and mascara already. I will not be taking them off for this demonstration, for it should not get in the way of the eyeshadows. I will be using a flat brush for the shimmer Sam. I also will be incorporating the shade Grim. Grim, since it will not have a pear at the end. I'll be taking my finger to help blend the two shimmers. And I will be taking a fluffy, I don't know how to describe this, fluffy brush to blend out more of Trappa.
These are what the shades Sam, Trappa, and Grim look like after use. Sam and Grim were both used with a brush and a finger. That is all the kick-up that Trappa created. Thank you.
Here's the completed look. This is with Sam, Trappa, and Grim. Thank you. Hello, in this demonstration we will be using Zero and Dairy. Zero and Dairy. In this look I intend to create a smoky eye with Dairy and put Zero on top. I am taking a fluffy blending brush and introducing it into the crease. Introducing Dairy into the crease. I'm doing a stiffer packing brush and putting that on the lid. The swipe marks, I do not find fault of the shadow. In my experience, if you use too fluffy or too big of a brush with a darker shadow, that can happen. It is typically easier to blend out with a denser, smaller brush. I will be using a very small fluffy blending brush to get the edges. This base was an eyeshadow primer set with an eyeshadow close to my skin tone several hours ago. Thus, I imagine this crease line right here. I will not be holding that against the shadow. I will be using Zero with my finger and tapping it all over the lid to create a very shimmery, shiny, smoky eye. Going in with a small, smudgy type brush for the lower lash line. My eye is watering right now, so it might not look super great. There is a very small amount of fallout from the matte shade. I'm not detecting anything from the shimmer. I will use a flat, fluffy brush to whisk away the fallout. It does not seem that the fallout has smudged at all or very badly at all. I will be going in with a clean blending brush to try to soften the skip marks I created. Good enough. Here is the finished look. Thank you.
This is the aftermath. Dairy has quite a lot of kick-up. Zero does not seem to have any hard pan, only a finger was used with Zero. Thank you.